Okay, let's go for the layers and the properties windows. For the layers, we have some function in here, and we have a channel list in here. So for a start, let's create a fill layer. A fill layer, it means you are just fill up all the UV space of this texture set, and you can control the whole data related to, for example, base color, metallic, and roughness in just one single layer. And we have another type of layer, which is the paint layer. And it means you can paint wherever you want. So basically, there are two different type of layer, fill layer and paint layer. Okay, so and we can create the paint layer and a fill layer from this icon here. And whenever we want to delete the layer, we can select the layer and use this icon here, or just press delete from the keyboard. Okay, so what about this? This is a folder icon that whenever we click on that, we create a new folder and we can organize the layer section. We are going to use this kind of a structure a lot. I mean, creating layers and creating a folder and put all the layers inside the folder. So let's delete all of them. And now I just want to create a fill layer with blue color in here. Okay. And I want to create another fill layer with green color like this. Okay. And in here, I want to define for the green layer, okay, just show up here or just show up here. For example, I have a pattern and I need to define for the green layer to follow that pattern and show up wherever the pattern show the layer. So how we can do that? We need to create a mask, and with the mask we can control the data inside the layer. So how we can add a mask? We can just come over here and use one of these masks. So I have a white mask, I have a black mask, and I have a bitmap type mask, mask with color selection, and mask with high combination. So which one is perfect for me? The white in the mask, it shows, okay, wherever the white value is, it means the layers data, it's going to show up over there. So the white, it means showing the layer data. The black, it means don't show the layer data. So this is the main logic. And if we can understand that, we can do anything inside the Substance Painter. So let's add a white mask. What's happening? Because I'm going to the mask mode with this slider and choosing the mask, or I just can holding Alt and click on mask icon here. So the mask for layer 2, it's pure white. It means all the space in the UV space, they are going to show the fill layer data number 2. Okay, so let's add a black mask. So as you can see, we are in the material view mode, and it means we just can see the data for the fill layer number 1. And the fill layer number 2, it's not showing anywhere due to the black color in the mask. Okay, so if I go to the mask and just paint here like that and go to the material mode, as you can see, now I can see the fill layer number 2 data on the surface, because we are telling that to the layers with the mask. So this is the logic behind the mask, and in this way we can control the data inside Substance Painter layers section. That's it. So this is the very introduction brief for the layers and the mask and the paint layer. Okay, we can add many type of mask from here. As you can see, we can add generator, we can add paint layer. We talked about paint layer before. We can add fill layer, we can add level, we can add compare mask, filter, color selection, and anchor point. If you have the question, okay, what are they? Don't worry, we are going to cover most of them. The most useful and usable item in here. And let's go and add a black mask. We are going to reset the mask whenever we add black mask from here or from here. Or we can use white mask. It depends on our strategy for the layers and the workflow. So most of the time I'm going to use black mask, and after that I can control the mask very easy. But maybe you need to white mask and you can use the white mask. Okay, let's create a fill layer, and we want to rename this fill layer. So let's call it test. Whenever you want to rename a layer, you need just double click on the layer and you can rename the layer. Okay, easy peasy. Whenever you click on something on the layers window, you have some properties over here. For example, for fill layer, we have fill setting and material setting. Okay, so in the fill setting, we have some kind of parameter related to the projection, type of projection, UV wrap, and UV transformation. And in the material, we have all the data that we set on the texture set setting. As you can see, we have something in the channels, for example, base color, metallic, roughness, normal, height. And we can add, for example, emissive for creating light inside our material with adding emissive channel here. And after adding the emissive channel, you can see we have the emissive channel here. And whenever we click on the emissive, we have the data related to the emissive and we can modify that. Okay, so this is the way that we can organize the layer. So let's go for the base color, and I want to explain you these options here because they are so important, and I just need to have base color, just base color. So let's hold Alt and click on the base color. With this technique, we can turn off all the channels on the fill layer except that one. We click on that. Okay, so we keep base color and turn off others channel. So let's load a texture inside the base color. We can select color in here, as you can see, and we can load something inside the base color with clicking on the base color. So for example, let's load this camel texture. Okay, now we can see the texture on the model, and we can control the texture with the fill properties. In fill properties, we have UV transformations, and in here we can change the tiling to tile the texture like this. Okay, for example, I'm going for 4, and if we have the exact physical size, we can change the scale from tiling to physical size, and we can, for example, set, okay, we have this object in, for example, 50 centimeter, and let's increase the number to 50. And this is the result. But for most of the project, we are sticking to the tile. Okay, now we can decide the rotation, and we can rotate the texture, or it's better to say we are rotating the whole layer, not just base color. And if I have another texture in the roughness channel, for example, like this, and I just rotate, as you can see, the roughness and the base color and all the data inside the layer, they are going to be rotated. Okay, so we can offset the texture like this. We can move the texture inside the UV space in U and V direction. And we can move manually this little square here like this. And we can increase the size like this. And it's affected on the tiling. And if you hold the Control key, you can change the scale of the texture in parallel way. And if you hold the Shift, you can see we are going to make bigger or smaller, and we keep aspect ratio in the tiling, like this like icon. And we can control the rotation with this gizmo here. We have some tool in here, like flipping in horizontal way or vertical way. We can change the pivot point. For example, we can move the pivot point here, and whenever we rotate the texture, it's going to rotate from this pivot point. Okay, and when we scale up or scale down the texture, it's going to move around this pivot point. So whenever we click on this, the pivot point goes in the center. And whenever we want to reset everything, we can use this icon, and it's going to reset all the setting to the default value. And we can increase these little dots from small to medium or large. And we can hide this transform from here and use the sliders inside fill properties. Okay, let's gain some knowledge about other option and feature inside fill properties. Let's focus on UV wrap. Okay, so let's reset everything. Okay, and I'm going to change UV wrap from repeat to none. And now I'm going to resize the square and reposition that in here. So the main logic here is like with the UV wrap feature, we can decide, are we want this texture repeat in the U or in the V axis, or in the other word, are we want to repeat this texture in horizontal way or vertical way? So I set the UV wrap to none, so nothing happened. Okay, and if I change the none to repeat horizontally, you can see I have the repeat feature in horizontal, and now we have it in this fill layer. And we can change it to vertical, and now we have it like this. And if I change to the repeat, it's going to repeat on horizontal way and vertical way. So we have this kind of effect. So this is a setting related to UV wrap we are going to use in the projects. So remember this feature. It's very helpful and useful. And let's go for the projection. Okay, the default setting is UV projection. It means it's going to show us this texture on the UV, and we can see the result on the 3D model. Okay, and what if I change the UV projection to something like triplanar? Okay, with triplanar, we have a simple box, a bounding box around the object, And from each face, we are going to project the texture on the model. Okay. And we can see the seam here. And this is the location that these two faces bump into each other. Okay. So we can control this hardness from this slider. As you can see, for example, the default value is 0.5. And in this way, we cannot detect the seam itself, but we can see some messed up in here. Okay, how we can control the triplanar? We can control with the UV transformation like tiling, as you can see. We can control the rotation, and even we can control the box itself with the 3D projection setting like offset, rotation, and escape. Okay, now we can control the box from the gizmo that we have here, and with this option we can reset everything like this. We can move the box and change the result of the projection. We can flip in X direction and Y direction. As you can see, it's just like a -1 and +1. And you can flip in Z direction like this. We can reset everything. And we can control the manipulator. For example, you can control the size of display. You can control the angle step. For example, I want to rotate this with 90 degree when I hold the shift. Okay, or let's go for the 22.5 or 22. As you can see the number here. It's going to increase each time 22 units. So in this way, we can control the grid steps, angle steps, and manipulator size. And when you want to use the step, you need to hold the shift. For example, let's define 0.25 for the grid step. And now when I move this box and holding the shift, you can see this is the result in here. Okay, let's reset everything. We can switch between move, rotate, and scale in here, or just use R for the scale, E for the rotation, and W for the move. And you can turn off this gizmo with this icon. So this is the way we can control triplanar projection. And we have some kind of projection like planar. It's just like, okay, we need to project this texture from this side and this side at the same time. And there is no face from this side to project in here. So as you can see, we have some stretch line here. It's a very good projection, actually. We can use it in different way. And whenever you want to apply a grunge or a pattern on the surface, I suggest you to play with the projection type, because in this way you can get new result, new way to project the texture on the model beside using UV. Okay. So the setting is the same. You can use all the setting here, or just use, for example, transform in the UV or 3D projection setting. And we have another type of projection like spherical. It's perfect for a spherical shape. And we have cylindrical projection. And it's perfect for something like cylinder. Okay, and now we have the fill properties in the pocket. We can use all the setting related to the fill layer. whenever we want to use, and we are going to use them a lot. Don't worry if you didn't understand something. We are going to use them, and after that we can understand that. And we have the material section. It's very easy. If you're familiar with the PBR basics and fundamental, you can understand what's happened here. I just want to mention we can load a material from this window in the material mode. For example, I want to add this paint spray in here. Okay, and after loading this paint spray in the material mode, the setting related to the channels, they are going to be changed following the material properties, and it's not like default fill layer. Okay, I just want to show you this one. We are going to test some of them and explain what we have and what we could have inside each material. So let's go for the basics. We have base color here. You can choose between the color in the color wheels, the color space. You can pick the color from the reference. Okay, you can use color code here. You can use RGB value or hue saturation value in here. And if you like, for example, this color, you can put this color to swatches, and you can delete all swatches like this. And this is enough for the color. We can load texture directly inside the base color. For example, I want to have this pattern here. And for each texture that we are going to load here, maybe we have some parameter in here, and maybe we don't have parameter. For example, like, okay, let's load something without parameter. Yeah, for example, this one. It's not have any parameter, but most of the pattern and images inside Substance Painter, they are dynamic and they have parameters. So this is for metallic. We can choose between non-metallic surface and metallic surface like this, and we can control the value here. We can use even a texture like this. For example, let's load the checker. And in here, we can play with the parameter itself related to the texture that we load. We have roughness. And if you put 0 value for the roughness, it means we are looking for shiny surface and we need some reflection on the surface, as you can see. And when you put the value to 1, it means the roughness on the surface, it's too high and there is no shiny area on the surface and material. So the 0 in the roughness, it means shiny. The 1, it means matte surface. The 0 on the metallic, it means non-metallic surface. And 1 in metallic, it means this is the metallic surface. And okay, this is the normal. We are going to use normal in Substance Painter in any way and many direction. But it's not like using normal channel inside fill layer directly, except some special occasion. But for example, we can use this texture. As you can see, it's a special texture. Whenever you see the purple texture, it means you need to use that in a normal. And it's just like fake detail on the surface. As you can see, nothing here, but we can see and feel the detail. Okay. But in Substance Painter, we just add the detail in a high channel, not directly in a normal channel for fill layer. we can paint detail on the normal with the paint layer. But for the fill layer, we are going to use height, and at the end, Substance Painter convert automatically height data to the normal, and we can use the normal data inside any engine that we want. So this is the logic. Please remember that. Okay, so we have height. It means you can have displacement in the Substance Painter. But for using that, let's load some texture here. For example, this checker. Let's increase the tiling. For using displacement in the viewport, we need to enable the displacement in the shader setting window. Okay, so it's enabled right now, but it's not affected on the viewport because the scale is 0. I can increase the scale, for example, to 0.05, and as you can see, we have some displacement in the viewport. So the quality is so bad because we don't have enough vertex to create this kind of displacement. So we can increase the subdivision count, and you can see we have perfect displacement in the viewport. So what happened if we haven't enabled the displacement in the viewport? As I told you before, Substance Painter considered the height data automatically a normal data. So whenever I go to height channel, I can see the data in height. So I can export that and use it as a displacement in other software. But in Substance Painter, because we are focusing on the game, and in the game, we not using displacement very much, and we just using normal a lot. So in the Painter, all the data from height channel goes to the normal directly. And whenever we expose the textures and the data from the project, we can have all the data related to height inside the normal. Okay, so let's go back to the material mode and remove the height. And we can have emissive here, as you can see. For example, I need red emissive inside the material, but not like that. Let's, for example, create black, and let's add another fill layer. I'm going to call it emissive. And now in this layer, I'm going to hold Alt and press on emissive, and now change the color to something like red, and let's add a black mask. So I'm going to control the data on an emissive channel with the mask. So let's add a fill layer for the mask. So we are going to create sub-layer. Whenever we add something to layer, we are just create a sub-layer. And we can create many sub-layer in paint layer and fill layer mode. Okay? And in fill layer that we create, because we are in the mask, and the mask, they are just black and white, and we don't have data like base color, roughness, metallic, or something like that. We just have grayscale data. So in the fill layer, we just have one input, and that is grayscale. And in the grayscale, we can load anything we want. For example, let's load this one. Okay, and now I can play with the tile, as you can see. And for each fill layer, we have separate fill properties. And in here, I can increase the tiling like this. And let's go back. Okay, this is the emissive data. And if I go to emissive channel, you can see we have the data on this layer. And whenever we hide this data, we don't have any data in emissive. But whenever we check on visible icon here, the data appears in the emissive. Okay, and we can control it very easy in here. And now, if I want to increase or decrease the emissive intensity in the viewport, I can go to the shader setting in here, and now I have emissive intensity. So let's change the emissive intensity to something like 1, or we can decrease the emissive intensity like that. Okay, so this is the way that we are going to create fill layers, black mask, or any type of mask. We can add sublayer, we can control the data in sublayer, and we can create separate layer for separate channel and control them with the mask. And we are going to learn how to use Substance Painter step by step. So let's go for the next video. We are going to focus on the paint layers, and we're going to discover some amazing feature in Substance Painter.